And welcome back to another episode of the Grey Villain Podcast. I am Justin. That's my boy DJ.
Let's go here again.
And we are here talking about the Seattle Mariners. First week in the books. We got the last game against the Angels coming up here in a few minutes. But we're giving you a bit of a recap. What did we notice over the course of this week, and how are we feeling about, how the Mariners are set up going forward? And what's your impressions of what's going on?
Impression is that Luis Castillo is an ace. He's not just the number one, like everybody has a number one. No, yeah. Luis Castillo is an ace.
He's a true number one. Yeah, that's the first thing, because we've seen two of his starts now, and yeah, would you call it worth it? I think I'd pay 2 times Noelvi Marte and 2 times Arroyo at this point. It's more than worth it.
More than worth it for what he's giving you the first 2 times out.
So what did he do during the first game? Well, he was like 6 innings, 6 Ks, just 1 hit off the hair. Yeah. Imagine if he got traded to the Yankees. He wouldn't have that hair. Yeah. And that hair has got to be part of his powers. I mean, if they cut it off, I imagine his balance would be off. Like, it could have just completely ruined him.
Can you imagine Luis Castillo, what he would look like without the dreads?
I think he's had him his whole life. He was asked about him when he first showed up here in Seattle. And, yeah, they're natural, and he's had them forever. Love the hair. That first game, was nothing till the 8th inning. And we were pressuring because Castillo held down Cleveland all game. But, finally came through with a Oppo Taco from Ty France. 3-run bomb. But the thing is, that became a bit of a issue over the next several games here.
Lack of clutch hitting. We didn't struggle with that last year.
A lack of clutch hitting, lack of pop. Is that partially because it's been kind of chilly out there? I think. I mean, and then, Cleveland went and hit a couple home runs as soon as I started thinking that. So, in the next, game 3. So, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just chilly or if they weren't making good contact until yesterday.
Well, it's all because J.P. Crawford, he's selling out for those home run balls.
I don't even think he's getting to the warning track. I mean, smoke's got him.
It's pretty bad when my 15-year-old son notices that he's uppercutting everything, and he's like, Dad, why is he doing that?
But he worked on his swing all off-season because he was going to start hitting 20 bombs. Yeah, JP, dude, you're a singles hitter. Be cool with that.
Just get on base, please.
Look what Cleveland did to us. Killed us with contact. I actually think that might be a bit of a market inefficiency right now with the rules changes. And just being able to put the ball in play and it's always been the case, but people have been, 3 true outcomes. And it's like, no, just hit the ball. It's always been true. Hit it where they ain't. BABIP is up, I think. I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers. I probably should.
Yeah, runs are up about I believe I saw a half run a game, something like that. So.
But it's more BABIP. And I don't really care about walks See, they did too many damn rule changes at the same time, and it made it kind of tough to isolate what is and isn't in there. But what happened during that game? We got the most fidgety guy from Cleveland out there, James Karinchak. Fidget. That's his new name for me. Fidget. I want to give that guy a spinner hat. So, because, it's like...
With the Guardians logo on it.
He probably can't take an actual fidget spinner out there with him, but, the dude needs something. So just imagine he's, up there spinning his hat. Pitch clock really started affecting him, put it in the middle of the plate. And he kind of did it again, I think, yesterday. He blew the game, Cleveland's game.
He tried to blow it.
Or he tried to blow it?
Well, he tried to blow it again when they brought him in the last game of the Mariners series.
Oh.
He also had some issues. He ended up striking out Julio.
He was pumped about that. I remember him getting real excited. But yeah, Karinchak might actually be one of those guys that he never recovers because he's too fidgety and he's got too much stuff going on. But that first game, opening game of the season, were you getting flashbacks of the playoffs?
I did like how the first game played out. It was very much just how we played last year. Good pitching, good defense, which is the only game we played good defense in the whole Cleveland series.
That's true.
That was bad. We don't even want to talk about Game 2. I guess we'll have to here in a minute. Defense was the issue in Game 2.
No, Robbie Ray was the issue in game 2.
He wasn't the only issue.
Okay, but Robbie Ray couldn't find the zone, so he kept putting guys on base. And so, like, Robbie Ray's hand, or his, not his hand, his elbow, I guess.
Shoulder, in between his shoulder and arm.
Yeah, in between his shoulder and arm.
Shoulder and elbow.
He got a flexor strain. Best case scenario, he's out for a couple weeks. But yeah, I was watching him, and he couldn't locate anything. He was lucky to get through what he did. It wasn't pretty, and I'm happy that it was, well, happy. Yeah. But, like, they were able to at least diagnose an injury rather than just being, like, soggy arm type thing.
Unfortunate part is he said he felt the injury in the second inning, and that he didn't say anything until after the game. It's like, bro, I mean...
No, I disagree with that. It's cold. He's a competitor. These are baseball players. I think people need to stop being such pussies. Yeah, I'm saying that. People need to stop being pussies. Go out there and actually, like, work with your hands out in the yard or something. Yeah, you get a little injured. It's fine. You deal with it. These guys, this is what they do. This is what they are. If you wanted them to sit every time they got a bump or bruise, you'd be digging into your AA players.
And
because there's not enough
honestly,
depth.
I think it actually happened before that, because I think it was... I guess it could have been the second inning. There was a bunt play where he gave absolutely zero effort. It went in between him, France, and Colton Wong had no chance because he's playing deep.
Well, I mean, he falls off to the right side.
But, I mean, he was going for it, and then he just gave up because he's like, I'm not reaching down with my left. And then that circus play, I don't know what he was thinking when the circus play trying to get the guy at home. He should have just ate that ball. But that was the Little League play where the ball hits off Susan Nino, and then... Robbie Ray's like, I'm a magician, here I go. Sometimes you just gotta eat the ball.
That's why you don't let pitchers handle the ball. Teo Hernandez out there in right field. How do you think he looks so far?
You know, in right field, he's looked the part. Made some diving plays, had a strong arm. Yeah, the ball went off Zunino, that's unfortunate, but he did also throw a guy out at home. So in the outfield, he's the part. That's definitely a bonus. The first 2 to 3 games, he was just missing the fastball. He was just under. Him and Colton Wong were missing fastballs in the middle of the plate. It was kind of frustrating to watch. They were just under him because the ball was going straight back.
Zunino, it wasn't intentional. If Zunino was not touching first base, would he have been out?
See, that's what I wasn't sure. And was he actually on the base when he hit
Yes, he was.
Okay, so because my whole thing was he... Did he actually go back and tag? Because he ended up going around third. So it was like, did he actually tag up before he advanced? Because even though the ball hit him, if he didn't go back,
yeah, he was on first base. Yeah, there's no problem with that. But I was just curious if, because the ball hit off of him, if he wasn't touching first, would he have been out?
I think he probably would have been, because it would kind of been like if the ball's hit and it hits the runner, right? The runner's out. So is it any different if the ball's thrown? And I don't know if there's difference between batted balls and thrown balls.
Well, so imagine a double play, and the runner doesn't get out of the way, and he takes and the second baseman throws it to first, and he takes it in the face. That's runner interference, is it not?
That is true. So yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it would. Yeah. Even though it was an accident, but he was touching first base. So if it was on purpose and he was touching first base, I think he would. Yeah, I don't know how that one works, but I imagine that wouldn't fly. Probably start a brawl. So the Robbie Ray injury all throughout spring, folks are like, man, what are we should trade Flexen because we have too much starting pitching. Well, then Robbie Ray hits the injured list. This is why we didn't trade Flexen for arguably nothing, because no one was talking about Flexen going for very much. They were talking about, like, oh, we need some more middle infield depth for AAA or something. Chris Flexen is far more valuable to us as a potentially replacement starter so that we don't have to start Bryce Miller already. Or we don't have, or Hancock or Dollard or whomever. We don't have to go that deep yet because we have this extra Chris Flexen. And
who's already stretched out.
Who's already fine, who can easily eat the innings. Is he as good as Robbie Ray? Well, I mean, probably. We didn't get a good version of Robbie Ray. Even last year wasn't very good. So, I mean, Chris Flexen, he's perfectly serviceable. Fangraphs WAR doesn't like him very much, just like it doesn't like Marco because they give up too much contact.
He had your first strikeout from the batter pitch clock yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Manny Machado?
Manny Machado.
He's got weird-looking ears. I was watching the interview afterwards, and his ears, they don't curve right. I don't know. They're weird. He's rich enough to get, like, plastic surgery on his ears, probably.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Yeah, Mariners kind of get crushed there in the second game, 9-4, because Robbie Ray really couldn't find the zone. Bullpen.
Yeah, they did do a good job of fighting back. It was really frustrating after I think it was Cal Raleigh tied up the game at 3 in the third, and then right away, Ray comes back and gives up 2 more. It's like, oh, so frustrating. Yeah. You hate to see when your team fights back.
I felt the exact same way, and then at least it wasn't just him. It wasn't suckitis. It was an actual.
Then it goes like 5-4, and like, okay, so got a chance, and then kind of just too many walks in the bullpen this whole first series. Way too many walks.
Yeah, well, Cleveland beats you with paper cuts. They don't go deep very often, though they were trying to address that this offseason. I'm not sure that they completely did. Mike Zunino hits home runs, but he needs to make more contact overall. Josh Bell, he hit a ton of dingers back when everyone was hitting dingers a few years ago. Last year he only hit like 17, I think, on the season. He just doesn't strike me as a really great, actual power hitter. He's an okay hitter. He's Ty France, but switch hitter. And worse defense.
And probably less average.
Yeah, a little less average too. He does have a better walk rate, but it's I don't know. They're very comparable players overall. So game 3, Logan Gilbert switching to his alter ego.
Gave us Walter, and he was very Walter-like. It was great to see him continue from where he ended last year.
6 innings.
Last year on a hot streak, and he came out, did the same exact thing, and gave you Luis Castillo.
7 Ks, 4 hits.
If it wasn't the first week of the season, you would have seen him and Castillo go an inning longer.
Because they were good on the pitches. Those two being locked in bodes really well for the future, the rest of the season. The problem was Aaron Savali held us to just 2 hits and 1 walk.
On 60-something pitches. We were not patient. We were just going up there, swinging at whatever. It was really frustrating. Whenever you see a starting pitcher that's not a strikeout pitcher get 7 innings or close to 7 innings on like 60-something pitches, come on, guys. He was not in the zone. You were chasing pitches.
Game 4.
Game 4, you saw the Marco that wasn't on the playoff roster last year.
Yeah.
That's the Marco, but you need Marco now. With Ray out, you have to have Marco. You're just going to have to hope that it's a little bit better than what he gave you.
How many? He went, 4 or 5 innings?
Yeah, it's like 4 and change, maybe 5.
I don't know. That's a quintessential 5 starter, I suppose. I mean, it's not real pretty. It eats innings. You're just hoping that he gives you...
you're hoping to get this into the
15 quality starts.
Yeah, if you can get like 5 1/3, 5 2/3, that's what you're really hoping for. You gotta stay away from the 3 1/3, 4 innings. But there was nothing. It was DeMarco from last year.
The first pitch to Julio Apotaco was really nice to see him. He's been doing really well so far.
2 hits like every game this year.
He had another 2 doubles last night, and he's extra pace hits like
4
crazy.
doubles. He's like 1 off the major league lead.
Who's got that? Maybe Adam Frazier or something. He had like 3 doubles. God, I hate Adam Frazier so much. No, I don't. I'm not really, but he's just like
annoying because
it's like where was that all season long last year, man? He's got like 3 doubles and a dinger, and yeah, but that's all he's going to do for like the rest of the month. So first pitch, Julio Apotaco, Cowboy, Dumper.
Been clutch all season so far in the first week.
Is Dumper like super legit catcher? Is he that? I mean, okay, so even when he was struggling when he first came up, his defense played, his pitch calling always played. It was a matter of making enough contact, and that was really a problem for him for really the first year, and then before we sent him down last year. And then he gets optioned down for a couple weeks or something like that. And then Tom Murphy gets hurt. And then I have to call him back up. And then he's like, totally changed guy. Totally different. Cal Raleigh can hit.
Water.
He can hit, and he's now a stud catcher. Do you expect him to be able to keep this up? Or, how long does this go for? Because this is an even better version than we saw last year.
This is a better version than... But I can see improvements in plate discipline.
Better swing decisions.
Better swing decisions means it's more sustainable. So I think it is. He's driving the ball.
He's hitting the ball real hard. He's hitting it a lot of line drives. The dingers will come. He's pulled a couple just foul.
That needs to hit him off the wall, too.
Yeah, that's another thing. I have in my notes here for Game 4, it's cold. Ball no fly good, because we've been seeing so many of that we had a ton of doubles off the wall.
That and Julio hit one that was an out that was right at the wall,
and it's like, a couple more degrees would really help us out here. But then
nothing like low 40 degree weathers at Mariner games.
Yeah, which is not. I mean, God, we were seeing guys. We were seeing their breath in the air, and it's like, what is happening? Over in Seattle area, it's like, geez, get that ocean, get some more ocean warmth here. We made it to extra innings there in the last game of the series with Cleveland, and botched double play just wrecked everything. They scored, and then Mariners can't.
Ghost runner, baby, gotta love the ghost runner.
I still hate the ghost runner, but when they're like, oh no, it's just temporary. Yeah, shut up.
Nothing's ever temporary.
Nope, do not believe them. Do never give them an inch. And so we close out that series, 1 win, 3 losses. What is your impression of Cleveland?
My impression of Cleveland is that they're very similar to the Mariners. They might have a little bit better bullpen than us. Our underbelly of our bullpen might be a little soft compared to what theirs is.
Okay.
But the team, the synopsis is that just too many walks. Can't walk people, can't give good teams. Cleveland's a good team.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and give them extra outs or extra runners. There was a play where Suarez caught a hot grounder. He looked Jose Ramirez back to the bag, but since he was playing almost short, he threw the ball and he didn't retreat, and Ramirez took third. Just mental lapses. Doesn't go down as an error. That was the same game as the Teo throw and...
That was a bad, poor defensive showing all around for the Mariners.
It just looked like for most of the Cleveland series, they just weren't in the game defensively. They've had some miscommunications in the outfield between Crawford and Julio.
They almost took each other out.
Little things they need to clean up. I'm not too worried about it. Opening series, would you have liked better results? Sure, but
we got 3 more games against them, so we'll see how that plays out, and then we'll meet them again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But before we meet them again, we have that team, the Devils of Anaheim. Is Anthony Rendon a dick, or is he just merely a prick?
I think he just has no self-control. I mean, come on, as an athlete, people are going to say stuff to you all the time. And yes, it's Oakland, right? And Oakland is probably the worst. Still, to sit there and take a swipe at a fan...
There's not that... To be fair, there's not that many people there, so you really hear the hecklers good.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
They're
like
very
5,
clear.
5,000 fans, best.
So, I mean, even you could be talking shit under your breath, and they'll still hear you. And then Rendon, clearly thin-skinned guy because he has a lot of injuries. He needs a break, and it is probably a well-timed break for him.
4-game suspension,
Should be longer. Should be longer.
Honestly, it should be longer. I mean, you can't take swipes at fans, no matter what they say.
He got a longer suspension for taking a swipe at the players.
So, yeah, it should have been longer. And the fact that they reduced it just because I'm going to appeal. I'm threatening to appeal it. So we take a game away. Screw that. Just if you come out with a 5-game suspension, 5 games. That's what it is.
Yeah, stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. But the Angels, they shot us down on the first game. We lost 7-3. Ohtani showed us why we're going to pay big bucks for him this offseason.
To be fair, that wasn't actually an awful pitch. Kirby put it on the outside part. I mean, it was a little up, but it was outside, and he just reached for it and hooked it. it wasn't an awful pitch.
Ohtani's a good player.
Sometimes you just have to bow your head to great players, right?
Yeah, he's good.
Hey, it's been 2 games, and Mike Trout's done nothing against us.
It's because Felix isn't pitching.
I mean, Mike Trout owns us.
He might be sad. This might be Mike Trout's sad season.
He's sad because Ohtani struck him out in the WBC.
Yeah. he's got a hangover. And it would have been good for the Angels to have been able to do something. Well, I mean, they finally sort of woke up at the end of last game after we crushed them. 11-2. What a game last night. I have a whole lot more to talk about the positive stuff than
that. I mean, positive stuff you had Teo finally able to square up some fastballs. Pollock getting... And they were both coming off right-handers. They didn't even come off lefties.
I want... Ivers, they sell Pollock instead of cod. Or you can have Pollock fish and chips. And I think they should give everybody some free fish and chips. Come on, Ivers.
But, yeah, I mean, the game was good. You had a great pitching performance from, obviously, Luis Castillo. Came out and dominated. Gave you pretty much the same exact thing. Pitch count got a little high. They worked him a little bit more, so he didn't get through 6. But otherwise, you gave up 2 hits and 6 Ks, no runs. And he's going to break Felix's scoreless streak to open a season next start. How about that? That's my bold prediction.
Put money on it.
Put money on it, because as much as I appreciate Felix for the other part of his career, I don't want him at the top of any record, folks. I'm sorry. That extension in his last 5 years, he literally took us out of 2 or 3 playoff races by himself.
We can do better. And, well, I mean, the young pitching that we are now developing, as long as we hang on to it, stays healthy, Gilbert, Kirby, those guys, they will be right there with Felix in those record books, and I think they could easily surpass them. I mean, those 2 guys, and we got them young, they're good, and Felix had some down years there, so he was really just racking up a bunch of innings.
It was a little bit of an interesting lineup there. They put Colton Wong all the way down at 6, and my feeling is when I saw that, I'm like, I don't want Colton Wong hitting 6. I either want him hitting the top of the order, or I want him hitting the bottom of the order, because he's not someone. I don't want him. I'd rather them switch Kelenic 8 and 6. It just seems Wong batting 6 is kind of a weird spot for him. I know they're trying to drop him down because he's struggling, but
yeah, well, he's one of your few left-handed bats. You probably don't want to stack too many lefties in a row.
Yeah, I guess you got Crawford.
Yeah, you got a lot of left-handers that don't do anything. So there's a rumor going around Tyler O'Neill. I just want to weigh in on that real quick.
No. Please, no. Everybody on Mariners Twitterverse today is, let's go get Tyler O'Neill. And all the comments are like, let's flip it. Let's go get him for a low-A prospect. Or let's go get him for Marco. Okay, well, you know what? Even if the Cardinals aren't happy for him, they're not flipping him for a low-A prospect. And they're not flipping him for Marco. And on the second hand, you still need Marco. As much as he didn't give you the greatest start last time, you don't have Robbie Ray and you're already starting Flexen. So if you take away Marco, then you're bringing up one of your young guys that you don't want to do yet.
Yeah, you're still managing innings with Kirby and Gilbert, and you are taking it easy, ramping up your starters. It's better to keep Marco for now, let Robbie Ray come back, and then midway through the season, you have an extra starting pitcher that you can dump. And then maybe Tyler O'Neill's still available. But the thing about Ty O'Neill is corner outfielder. Don't need corner outfielders. Right-handed, a lot of swing and miss, power hitter.
One good year.
He's got one outstanding year. He was an all-star. And then the rest has been replacement level. He's now making money. I feel like this is a lot of hashtag bring him home type situation. Those folks that prospect huggers that loved Ty O'Neill from the beginning, and they just hated seeing him go for whatever reason because they think he's just going to be the best. And this is a bit of like, we got to rectify that problem.
I think part of the thing is also they see the DH kind of struggling with the Mariners, and they could slot him in a DH. And that was also always one thing, is that everybody always kind of knew that the Mariners were possibly one bat short. And so that's why kind of like the Brian Reynolds kind of thing made sense, kind of.
It would be better if he's left-handed. If Ty O'Neill was left-handed, okay, I could really get on board with it more so because we could use left-handed thump. The last thing this team needs is more right-handed thump. Julio and Teo and Suarez and France and Cal Raleigh half the time. We have and Tom Murphy and Pollock. We have so much right-handed thump that's not the part of the game that we're missing. And so
I think it's overblown. It's just Twitterverse. Everybody's got a hot take.
Oh yeah, well that too.
So
yeah, well, we'll see how that all plays out. We have the next series coming up is again Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland and then the Cubs.
And then the Chicago Cubbies, where we can see if Dansby Swanson's doing anything, and
Suzuki.
Yeah, Suzuki. Suzuki missed 60 games last year, something like that. So, yeah, I'm not sure I would be really thrilled about having him around. I don't know what Dansby Swanson's doing so far, but again, as we've said in the past, he was never really on the table for us.
I mean, even he could be hot as all come being. It's 6 games. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he could go. I mean, Kaya Suzuki came out of the gates last year, was really hot. He hit like 8 home runs, and he ended the year with like 12 or something.
Yeah,
he hit the majority of them in the first like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and then everybody figured him out, and he hit nothing. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see how these guys end up, but there were 2 big free agents that folks wanted over the last couple seasons, so we'll see. Marcus Stroman will probably pitch against, or possibly might pitch against us in there. So,
we'll see how it goes. In a little pattern here as a Mariner fan, because you got the next 3 Thursdays off, and you got day baseball each of the next 3 Wednesdays. So
yeah. Well, we got Ohtani right now, so we'll see how that's going. Last thing here, you had said you would be disappointed if the Mariners don't go like 8-5 over the 13.
Yeah.
Right? How are you feeling now that they are solid 2-4?
2-4, and if they win today, 3-4. Yeah, it is kind of disappointing. Just because of the fact they came out and they didn't play their brand of baseball versus Cleveland. They played their brand of baseball versus Cleveland, and I think it's a lot different story. It is what it is. You can be disappointed. You can be happy.
Well, the pitching, Game 2 was a real letdown. The pitching let us down. The defense let you down. The bullpen a bit as well. Game 1 was really tight. Game 3 was really tight, and Game 4 went to extras.
Yeah.
So each game, it was a good series. I think the weather, I think the coolness kind of affected things. I think early in the season a little bit, it didn't look as crisp as we have in last season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and the bullpen probably needs to get itself sorted out a little bit and get into the groove. We got all season.
Season, and you got other teams struggling. The Blue Jays off slow start. The Phillies were the last team to win a game.
I think the Phillies are already toast. They have so many injuries.
Although my World Series team for the National League looks pretty good in the Braves.
Braves, yeah, that is my favorite as well for the National League.
For years to come with all that talent they have signed. Years.
Yeah, it's sick.
And they don't even have Von Grissom up yet. So when they call him up, they get even better.
Yeah. How's that go? Ugh. Anyway, I think we're out.
We're out. See you next week. Let's go Mariners. Go beat Ohtani.
Laters.